Okay, so it appears that people are talking about a storm it appears that people are talking about a storm that's until like next week, and people are posting snowfall total maps and this and that, and I am not doing that at all. Okay, I think that the conversation should shift away from how much snow to the possibility of the storm still happening. Um, there is that possibility of that storm still happening. We just have to see how those details iron themselves out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys what I'm actually looking at right now, and where I'm going to take it from there. Also, if you guys have not checked it out yet, my winter forecast is up here right now. About, I would say, 25,000 people have checked it out. So, guys, thank you so much. My retweets, and I don't know why they changed the favorites to likes, but it technically kind of went viral in the Northeast, which is, I couldn't thank you guys enough for that. Thank you so much. So, going back to before, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to windy.com so I can show you guys why I don't feel that the claims of a big bad snowstorm is going to come and hit the East Coast next week is going to come to fruition, because we shouldn't even be talking about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys what I'm looking at. We're going to fast forward all the way to Saturday, 5 o'clock in the morning, 5 to 11 a.m. So if we look over here, okay, this is our storm. Okay, this is our storm. There's things that are already not right about this, okay? I'm going to iron that out right now. Like, I don't understand why people are looking at, a storm, which is fine, but don't start talking about snowfall totals. I don't know why people are doing that. What did I say? You want to have a high-pressure system up in Ontario. This is a CP air mass, also known as a continental polar air mass. Clockwise flow, bringing down the continental polar air mass. So, do we have that? Obviously, we don't. Instead, we have a very weird-looking setup where we have high pressure right here, and what that would do is it would shift this way. What it would do is it would bring onshore warm air. You don't want that at all. And you have a low pressure system right here. So the low pressure system is taking the high pressure system's place. If this low pressure area vanishes off of this run, then I would be like, okay, maybe there's a possibility. But if that, shifts out of here, then this high pressure system would go up into Greenland over here. So this low pressure system, doesn't look like I would see it favorable for any type of snowstorm at all that people are hyping up. This storm would hug the Jersey coast and then kind of bomb out like right over here. All right. Another thing you have to take into consideration with our factors is that we also, if we go over to the Earth program real quick, I'm not looking at any weather models, guys. This is simulation of observations and actual observations going on right now. I'm not going to take out the weather models. I'm not doing that. All right. So that's weird. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our SSTAs. Remember how I told you guys in the beginning that these storms are going to start off closer to the ocean. We don't have things exactly established yet. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. If you look right off of the East Coast, we have very warm waters. So with the trough placement and the upper air pattern, these storms, even though that these are the warmer waters, because of the pattern and how the blocking is coming up, and it's not the best blocking stuff you exactly want, the storm would be closer to the coast. So you have to take that into consideration, all right? I think that we need to know one thing is for sure, that we do have the potential of a storm. All right, and it would basically be affecting these areas. I'm not going to go into any sort of detail that talks about rain or snow. Even if you have a pressure drop, you're going to have an effect going this, wide across this radius. So just think, sit back, watch the model do a little flip-flopping. I won't honestly have a clear picture until we're at least into 72 hours. What do I mean by that? I mean, things really start to kind of, have less of a shift change. So if you're out hundreds of hours, you can have a high pressure starting over here. The next thing you know, it's in freaking Arkansas or west of Arkansas. When you get into the 72 hours, now the high pressure may be a little bit like over here. Okay, maybe down a little bit in Maine. But it kind of locks off in a certain radius. You have radiuses that tend to set up around our cyclones, low pressure, and our anticyclones, high pressure. You get these radius barriers that kind of set up with these models. So the picture will become more clear when the storm is not being read off of buoy data, because a lot of things people don't understand is that these weather models are using data from different stations. So if the origin of this storm, if the energy associated with this storm is coming from somewhere out over here, you're running off of buoy data. I'm just giving you guys, an example. What basically is going to happen is you're going to have your pressure drops that are actually going to start right in this area over here. It's going to meander along over here, and then it will begin to strengthen. So we know that this source is going to be from the Gulf of Mexico. We know that the source is not going to just form on the East Coast. That energy has to come from somewhere. It's going to come somewhere out of the Pacific Ocean, primarily in these regions over here. Let me go over to the SSTs real quick because you don't want to look at that. So I was saying before, and now some storms are popping up in Fantasyland models, that they will start in this region and kind of go across the warm contours and then up like that. So I do not see this big hyped up, whatever storm you want to call it, of the possibility of it happening is there. However, I think posting snowfall maps and whatnot, I'm very conservative. Okay, if 100 professionals are calling for a snowstorm and I don't see the signs for it, I'm not going to bandwagon them. Alright? Another thing we have to make sure to understand, this is very important. I don't think I have not seen one person talk about this. This is the Antarctic oscillation in the South Pole. When it's positive, what's going on is that you are allowing the storm concentration to be within that area. Your Palmer Low forms in the Bay of Palmer, Antarctica. You have a high pressure system that forms west of Chile, bringing that south wind up and keeping our upwelling, our Peruvian current going. So this is not going negative anytime soon. All right, let's go back over here. All right, this is a good way to indicate with our Peruvian current, or just look at the observations. Again, all right, we don't have a good placement for our NAO. There is no negative NAO, okay? We may have a little bit of drops here and there, but it's not going to be enough to honestly help us. All right? So we're going to go back over again, and we're going to go over to our PNA. All right? The PNA is actually coming positive. So this storm will be a PNA driven based off where the ridge is going to set up. And I was showing you on windy.ty before that you want the ridge to crest out in Montana. So it's not exactly doing that. It's a little bit further west and a little bit more amplified and kind of crooked. So this is a good sign that the PNA is coming positive Pacific North American. However, I do want to see more. Again, the AO is positive. I don't know where your Arctic air is going to come from. You don't have a CP high pressure system anchored in Ontario. I don't know where your cold air is really going to come from. So you're going to be dealing with the storm having to manufacture its own cold air. And of course, this can change. I'm just telling you what I see right now. But as of right now, people in the Northeast, I do not want you to worry about a snowstorm. I don't even want you to worry about any storm. However, I do want you to keep an eye on my tweets, as I will be tracking this storm. I will not be following. I will look at models, but they flip-flop so much, and I'd rather look at something that actually has a more, reliability to what their predicaments are and what they're pointing out. So just keep it tuned with me. I noticed that people have been getting a little bit confused of other Northeast weather authorities. There are some people that have my username. I am the original. I was the first one. So anything that's tweeted on their accounts, it's not me. It's not my personal page. I don't even have a personal Twitter. I do have this Twitter, though. So that's pretty much it I can really say for you guys. I think I'm just going to kind of round up real quick to show you exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to kind of see a development. And this storm is going to develop. It's where is it going to go is what's really important. So we're going to start on the Thursday, third time frame, all right? We're going to go on to our pressure. And we're just going to basically watch how the upper atmosphere kind of gets into play. So I'm just going to hit this little number right over here. You're going to notice that an anomaly is going to come out of the Gulf of Mexico, and it's going to actually break off a little bit, and there's going to be a convergence of air east, and you're going to have a focal point around, say, Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. All right, here it comes, all right? You see around Florida over here, you're going to have pressures that are going to drop, and it's right there. So we have to understand that, again, our ridge placement on the west coast, the amplification ridge not penetrating through Montana on the center focal point. This low pressure system is getting in the way. This is preventing high pressure from anchoring over here, and the NAO is positive. So here we go. We have two lows over here. You're going to have one low kind of get in this area and weaken while your surface low forms off the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Now, this is basically, honestly, I could say that this is the most accurate, longest range I can see, because one has a different scenario than the other, but I think that this is a good point to state that this storm will be anywhere from the Outer Banks of North Carolina to out to sea, and finding the weakest area of resistance like that. So that's basically what I'm looking at. That's it. Yeah, that's it.